Plaintiffs Daniel Williamson and his wife Patricia say 6 months out of the year they live in Florida. And recently, while there, their son let the defendants move into their other home. Patricia allowed the defendants to stay. But after the defendants failed to pay rent, they called the police on Daniel and Patricia. They're suing for rent and eviction costs. Defendants Manny Guerrero and his wife Crystal Snyder say Daniel and Patricia look like good church-going people, but they like to get freaky from time to time. Manny says while living with the plaintiffs, there was never a rental agreement, so they deny owing for anything.
Start with you.
My husband and I have been married for 49 and a half years. And in those 49 and a half years, we probably lived by ourselves 2 years in our marriage, okay? We have always invited family and friends to live with us if they need help.
We're happy to give it.
Good.
That's how we've always done it.
Good.
And we go to Florida now because we're retired. We go 6 months out of the year. And
Vero Beach.
Vero Beach.
Okay.
But when my husband had 3 heart attacks this last time that we were there. And so I called my sons up and said, you've got to come down and pick us up from Florida. And that's when we found out that we had more people in our house than what we left it with. And Crystal and Manny had moved in, okay? And I had said, well, I really don't want Crystal and Manny moving in because we had had problems with them before. They weren't supposed to be over to our house because money had been missing when they had come over.
When they visited, money came up missing?
Yes.
So who allowed them to live there? How did they get in?
My son and Crystal's mother.
Okay, and you all never had an agreement with them at all after that even?
Yes, after.
Yes,
All right.
afterwards. They
How
did
long
come
after?
to us. Well, we
When we got
came
back.
home in April. April the 9th, I think, is when we reached home. And they came to us and asked if they could stay.
Okay.
And we said, well, yes, because we found out that
And
Crystal
you
was
nailed
pregnant.
everything down before they moved in?
No.
You say they were
We
known
should've.
thieves. Last time they were there, they ripped you out.
Yeah.
Well, that's my fault. She
Yeah.
didn't want them there, but I said,
Yeah, I got
Crystal-
certain friends from old days.
Yeah, they
when
were
they come
living
over,
in
I
their
nail
car.
everything down. You go in my house, you'll see a hammer and a big box of nails. They said, Judge, why you have that? I say, certain friends come in, I got to nail everything down. Let me hear from you all.
Well, Your Honor, when I first met Dan and Pat a couple years ago, right away I was judged by my parents. You know, they pretty much thought I was a gangster, drug dealer, or a drug addict. And, you know, I mean, when you look at them, they seem like just your regular, normal, quiet old couple, goes to church. But just like anyone else, they like to pop bottles on the weekends and get a little freaky, you know? There were several
How do
occasions.
you know they're getting freaky?
Well, the bathroom's right next to the room they used to stay in, and every now and then you go in there and you hear a little knocking on the wall. You know, that's
49 and a half years.
that's what you hear.
Nothing to say.
So, anyways, you know, like I said, I've always been judged because of my appearance. At the age of 14, you know, I joined a gang. I dealt with drugs all my life, but for the last 2 years since I was released from jail, things have been going up. We were able to get married. Now we're expecting a baby boy. We're holding down the jobs. We have our own place. And it's just...
Good. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
And you all moved in with them legally?
Her mom and Dan, they heard that we had a problem we were at, so they let us stay there.
Obviously, they stopped looking at you like that at that point.
No, they were very kind. They said that they were gonna let us stay there.
Why do you think they changed their mind about you?
Oh, because they got to know me, you know.
Okay.
I mean, you know,
How'd they
people
get to
wanted-
know you?
By the way I spoke. I was always polite. Every now and then.
You weren't that way before?
Well, they never knew me when I wasn't like that before.
You had never spoken to them?
Never. This was first impression. They just assumed I was, you know, the worst.
Well, if you'd have said,
Yeah.
hi, how you doing, then maybe they would have been all right. So let me hear why you're suing them.
Manny moved in and we told him that he could pay $100 for the first month because they did not have a job. And I talked to my grandson and I asked him, he was working at Walmart, and I asked him if they were hiring at Walmart. And I told Manny that they were. And they went and they applied for a job and got a job. And we were living in our dining room because our bedroom was being remodeled. And when remodeling got done, we moved out
Yeah,
of the
they had no
dining room.
place else to go but the bathroom, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead, ma'am. Now I understand. You want them to be in the living room or the dining room? You really heard them. Go ahead, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead. Just insulate the bathroom wall.
That left the dining room open.
Pardon me?
That left the dining room open. And Manny and Crystal were living in the basement with my son and their mother. Okay? And they came to my husband and asked if they could move into the dining room, they would pay us $300 and a month, and starting in June. And so what happened is Manny and Crystal lost their job. And they came to us and they said, well, we can't pay rent because we lost our jobs, but I have $1,000, but I need to get my license back from Illinois. And my husband says, well, we do need some rent. So they paid us $50, and that was for June, okay? Well, they got their jobs back, and they moved into the dining room, and then he gave us rent on June the 28th, and he paid $100. And then...
He said that Crystal would give us the rest of it.
Yeah, Crystal would give us the rest the next day. Well, Crystal gave us $50. That doesn't add up to $300. So Crystal said, well, she'd have to talk to Manny. Then Manny came home and we got in a big argument, and he cussed and I kicked him out. And I thought that was the end of it because I'd never had any problems before. But he said we couldn't kick him out, we had to evict him.
That's correct.
And we didn't know that. This was our home, it's a private home. And he called the police.
The police
and the
informed us.
police informed us that was the case.
And did he stay after that?
Yes, he did.
Okay, all right.
He stayed until, we went to court on August the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
The judge told him that he had 7 days to move out, but the judge also said that these people opened up your home for you, get out as soon as possible. Well, he stayed until the last day, and then he left.
Okay. You have the eviction judgment. What do you want to say, sir, ma'am?
Well, sir, there was never a rental agreement or a set amount that you have to
Means
pay.
month to month.
Yeah.
And you all never had
did-
an agreement on the payment?
No, sir.
No.
I did pay them a couple times, just giving them money to help out. There was never a rental agreement.
Hold on. There was no amount set?
Yes, there was,
Yes, there
Your Honor.
was.
No, there
It
never
was
was.
At first there was $100.
because they didn't have a job.
Yeah.
And then in May,
No, yeah.
Hey,
Then
I
we
thought I
increased it.
heard you say that. And
We increased
Sir, when
it to
when they came back from Florida, I was working at Walmart, so they got their dates pretty mixed up.
All right, but why don't you think you would have to pay a set amount for rent?
They didn't ask us that. They said save your money, and every now and then when you can help out, give us something,
Save your money for what?
so we can move out,
Okay.
so we can get our own spot. So every time I did give them money to help out, which was for whatever they needed it for, it was in a money order, which I have all my receipts for.
All right, do you have any for $100?
I have plenty for $100.
All right, then that means that was the amount. That's why you have plenty. But yet you didn't have an agreement. Just coincidentally, you paid them the exact amount they asked for. That's coincidence. Got it.
Stay away.
100, 100, 100. In fact, every single receipt you've provided me is for 100.
Excuse me, some of those are for the same month, so it was not a set amount.
It's 100.
Oh, there's a couple
Each
hundreds.
100, sir. I'm not going back and forth with you. I'm looking right at it. You can roll your eyes. Do you do that with the other judge that locked you up? Did you do that with them? Don't
Yeah,
you
I
ever
did it
roll
there.
your... That's why you got that time. That's why you went to prison. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.